Hey, it's Halicue. One band, one sound. I'm not a huge fan of Nick Cannon, his music, nor any of his movies. But I did enjoy Drumline very much. And I always loved Dr. Lee and the concept of one band, one sound, right? Like if you know, you know, especially if you're into seminal Black cinema. You all know the movie Drumline, and you absolutely know what I'm talking about when I say one band, one sound. But today I'm saying it because Black women are on message and it's sounding really consistent, like consistent AF in here. The 92% is moving with clarity. We are moving with conviction and collective agreement on who we are, what our mission is. And we're also very clear, and I love this in particular, on not only what we're going to do, but what we're not going to do. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Hey, It's Halicue podcast. I am your host, Halicue, and this is Hey, It's Halicue, the podcast created for Black women of the 92%, specifically focused on the needs of Black women of the 92%. This is where we get together to discuss joy, rest, creativity, reinvestment, our rejuvenation, and why Black women choosing ourselves, prioritizing ourselves is the most powerful political strategy we have ever created for ourselves. We are starting a new kind of revolution. Can I just tell y'all something? I feel like these first few months after the start of this nightmarish goat rodeo, hellscape fire of a geopolitical situation, and particularly presidential administration, 92% refers to the percentage of Black women that showed up to vote for democracy, right? And democracy gave us the middle finger. I often talk about our moniker of the 92%. We're going to put it in terms of school. I have to tell you, Black women, I mean, Black people, but especially Black women, I feel like we've already gotten an A, which makes sense because we're the 92% of the semester. Consider it like a pop quiz on discipline and focus, but a pop quiz that counts towards our grade. Could we be, as Black women, more on message? And what were the things we were being assessed on? Could we stay on message as Black women? Could we avoid the traps these people have been setting for us out here? Because let's be real, we can look at something like Hillman Talk, and that's kind of epic crash and burn as a bit of a warning. It showed us how quickly something beautiful and Black woman led could get derailed by distractions, by infighting and ego. Kind of turned into a bit of a cautionary tale of what can happen when we as Black women, when we lose the thread, when we lose focus. So the question was, could we hold the line this time? Black women did not break formation, even on social media. And y'all know it's hard to stay together and online and in purpose on social media. We are so happy and ready to give our opinions and point the finger of blame. I love this for Black women. We're always happy to offer advice, but a lot of what we're saying online too is what we're not going to do in this reality. And one of the main things we're not going to do, again, one voice, one band, one sound. What we not going to do is be saving y'all. The 92% has spoken. We are moving differently. And as we've seen all throughout history, when Black women are locked in and they're on message, we change the entire game. We've done it before and we're doing it now. But the most important and the crucial difference is this time we are doing it while prioritizing ourselves, our joy, and our art, our sheer creative force. But before we get into it, I like for us to take a second to ground ourselves, because shifting how we move in the world, that requires embodiment. It's one thing to say, I choose myself, but we really do need to feel it, to love it, to hold it, and let it settle into our bodies. If we, as Black women of the 92%, are stepping into a new paradigm, one where Black women of the 92%, we're focusing on resting, creating, and prioritizing joy, we need to do more than just talk about it. We need to embody it, and that starts right now. The embodiment, this is actually an important word, and it's one that I hope that we as Black women of the 92% keep real close by, keep like in our wallet, in our pocketbook, and especially in our vocabulary. We live in a world that has trained Black women to function like machines, to overdo it, to overwork, and to overextend, to do, but never to simply just be. Embodiment is the opposite of that. It's the practice of being fully present in your body, feeling emotions, thoughts, and experience that travel through your physical self, not just our mind. Like for a lot of us Black women, we've had to try to get outside of our body because we're in so much pain due to trauma, whether it's trauma in our families or trauma to just racism and oppression just out in this American life and world as a Black girl. So that's why it's important. A lot of us have had to retreat into the deep recesses of our mind and sometimes even get involved with substances that aren't healthy for us because we're trying to get out of like that physical pain. So when we talk about embodiment, we're talking about inhabiting yourself completely, not just intellectually understanding things, but truly feeling them, processing them, and integrating them. For Black women, especially those of us in the 92%, let's think of embodiment as a radical act. We've been conditioned through history and survival to disconnect from our bodies. We've been forced to labor physically, emotionally, without rest, without even any expectation of rest coming in the future. We have carried the burdens of movements, families, institutions, and entire nations without being given the space to feel, to release, and to restore. Disembodiment isn't just cultural, it's psychological. The nervous system holds memory, generations of overworking, self-sacrificing. And this like strong Black woman conditioning doesn't just sit in the mind. Right? It lives in our bodies, the tension, we feel it in our shoulders, our anxieties. And I know all of us are bag ladies, right? Like we all got 2 and 3 info bags, right? Because we're all going to school, we're all starting a business, we're starting some project. Some of us are neurodivergent. Me and my sister have to have everything we might need at any moment. Likewise for parents. And especially if you're the mother of daughters, you got to have a bag that has everything anybody might need at any given moment. So we hold that like in our bodies and our shoulders. That tension in our shoulders, the anxiety in our chest, the exhaustion that lives in our bones, that's not just a bad night's sleep, y'all. That is unprocessed stress. It is trauma. And it's this kind of nervous expectation sitting in your nervous system. That's why rest alone is not enough. If we want to reclaim our creativity, our pleasure, and our joy, we have to bring our bodies back online. And right here, this is where we start doing it. This is not just a podcast. It is not just a TikTok account. It's not just a YouTube account. It's an experience for Black women of the 92%, and we absolutely deserve it. Taking a little bit further, somatic release, and we're going to do something fun with this exercise this week. And y'all, we need it. This isn't extra. This is necessary. Because Black women of the 92% aren't just thinking a new way forward. I mean, we're doing a lot of thinking. We are brainiacs. That's the way we are. But we're also embodying it. And that means we're going to do the work in our bodies first. So let's just get it out the way. Let's just do it. And when we do, we become unstoppable. Now we are going to do a quick EFT tapping exercise. If you've never done this before, don't even worry about it. You can, look it up later, but trust me, it's good for you. Just follow along. Your beautiful body will understand, even if your mind is skeptical. So we're going to tap lightly. And so what I want you to do is tap first lightly on your hand, and you're going to tap along the side of your hand. Like if you were doing a karate chop, right there is where you're going to tap. Okay. So when I want you to start tapping, and this little beat, just keep the tapping up, and I want you to repeat after me. Okay? So let's tap. We're going to tap on the karate chop side of our hands. And as we're tapping, I want you to think to yourself or say to yourself, even though I was conditioned to overgive, I deeply and completely choose myself. Even though the world expects me to do the work, I reclaim my time and my energy. I am free to create, to rest, and to enjoy my own life without guilt. Now, I want us to stop, and I want you to start tapping on your collarbones. I'm just going to use one hand. All the while breathing in and out naturally. Tapping on our collarbones. I release the need to explain myself. I release the need to prove my worth. I stand firm in the power of my choice. Now let's take a deep breath in, exhale out. And now let's get into the mess. You remember earlier when I said that if we were thinking about this at school, that we just passed our test? Let's get into some of the foolishness this week. Black women, there are a lot of us that had some response to y'all's stunt queen president changing Black Lives Matter Boulevard. I remember when they changed the name of the boulevard to Black Lives Matter. That man that they voted president, he decided that one of the most important things he could do right now in this time of economic and social upheaval in this country was to change the name and erase Black Lives Matter on Black Lives Matter Boulevard and renamed it. I'm telling you, I knew we had passed the test when I read about this, and I read Black women's response. I braced myself. Would this be the thing that knocked us off track? Could we, as Black women, get caught up in this outrage cycle? Because we can see, we can tell, we know they are trying to bait us as Black people. Although it's funny, I'm trying to tell y'all, like if they can't bait Black women, it needs to be a rep. They need to stop trying, but whatever. They're going to keep trying. It's going to be fun to laugh at them while they try. But I have to be honest, I was worried. All the mess that happened with Hillman Talk had me kind of worried. Were we going to be able to stay on message? Could we have the same voice? Could we remember our priorities as Black women in the 92%? Would this be the thing that knocked us off? No. The answer is no. Black women's response was so uniform. It was so effortless. It was so hilarious that I almost shed a tear. It was hilarious because basically the answer from Black women, corporate news, whatever they're out there telling us about it. And what do you think this means? Black women were like, child, anyway, y'all making that cake Duchess Megan made on her show. Y'all making that cake. Y'all make the pasta. I heard one Black woman on TikTok was like, yeah, they can do whatever the hell they want to do with that boulevard. We do not care. And that is when I knew we had made it. We had stepped into the next phase. They are trying so hard to bait us, and we're simply refusing to engage one of the most important tools other than, we're going to get into microaggressions later. That's a whole different episode. I'm making a whole different video on that. We are simply refusing to engage. Disengagement is one of the most valuable tools we have in our new movement. What does it mean when the opposition is so desperate to get a rise out of you that they're out there messing with street signs? It means that they know they have lost control of the narrative. It means they know that we, most importantly, have left the chat and they are scrambling to get us back. Black women are gone for good. We are on message. We are on task. We are not saving y'all. We are not doing the labor. We are not fighting for symbolism. We are choosing ourselves. And that is power. That is truly the strategy. It's Black women being in bloom. For real this spring. Now, if you're feeling what I'm talking about today, I'd love for us to take it to the next level. Become a paid subscriber on my Substack community for the 92%. Like I said, this is not just a podcast. It's an experience. It's a community. Becoming a paid subscriber means that you're not just supporting our work. It means that I'm giving you more exclusive essays, deeper conversations and videos, a community that moves with intention. So please join me. Join me over on Substack. It's awesome over there. For Black women of the 92%, our strategy is in our focus. We have seen it over and over. Black women are the most powerful when we stay unified. And when I say we, y'all, you're just gonna have to forgive me. I'm talking about Black women. I don't really care about anybody else right now, to be perfectly honest with you. When we stay unified, disciplined, and on task, when we are focused, we shake up the entire system. When we're fractured, we get into whataboutism, those tools that they've been, training us to pay attention to through corporate media. When we do that, we get fractured, we lose momentum. But right now, we are in a moment of absolute clarity. So the assignment is clear. As Black women of the 92%, we are not going to break formation. We are not going to waste time explaining. We are not going to allow distractions. And we don't settle for crumbs because listen, when we are on message, when we are communicating as one, we can change the world. And right now, I just have to tell y'all, Black women are locked in. One band, one sound, just like Dr. Lee said. And some people may ask or they may wonder, like, why, how? First of all, we're Black women. Again, 92%, that means A. That means superior. That means A-level work, okay? It means exceptional work. So it makes sense. But how do we stay so clear? Why are we so stalwart in our mission? Well, our clarity, when you think about it historically, it's not just random and it isn't just our vibes. It's not just how magical we are, but our mission is pure. Our mission is sacred. And to be honest, everything that comes of this and all the credit for it is owed to no one but us. For generations, we have carried and built, we've nurtured, only to be left with exhaustion and crumbs. And there's always been that expectation that no matter what, we would just keep on going. Not anymore. The reason our political strategy centers us is because we have finally recognized that the most powerful thing we can do is stand our ground. And when people ask why, when they try to guilt you and debate, and by the way, y'all, a lot of these debates are done in bad faith. These people do not mean well. Even when we know they don't believe what they're saying, they literally practice saying this stuff in the mirror so they can sound convincing just for the win. I think it's a waste of time to debate these people. But even when they try to guilt us, debate us, or try to persuade us into breaking formation, here's some things to remember. Just remember this. Number one, and this is good. I'm literally, seriously, write this down if you need to, because people are going to get into your face. The cornstarch assassins, as I heard somebody call it. After a little while, they'll start asking you questions and they're going to frame it like, well, just the state of things. I was just wondering, what do you, like they're going to find some way to start talking to you about it. whether it's on the job, at your little gym or club or whatever. Trust me, it's coming. Just remember these points because it's going to help you get through these discussions without raising your blood pressure, right? Because I'm not trying to have us out here absorbing all this and battling back all of this in these pointless discussions. Number one, we are not asking permission. Remember that. We're not asking permission, and put that in the tone of your voice. The biggest shift in the 92% movement right now, we are no longer waiting for anybody's approval. We're not explaining, we're not justifying or trying to prove our humanity to anyone anymore. We're just doing what we know is right. These little community roundtables where Black people sit down and white people sit down, and we say things like, it's important for us to have these conversations. I disagree. I don't know that it's important for us to sit down together and share these conversations because what's going to happen? Who's going to be doing the oversharing? Who's going to be doing the work, talking about their painful experiences? Is it going to be white people or is it going to be Black people? Is it going to be white women or is it going to be Black women? It's going to be Black women. And I'm tired of that. So we're not apologizing for anything. We have been conditioned to seek this consensus before we move to make sure everyone is comfortable with our decision, to make sure we're seen as reasonable, as fair. Have y'all ever been in these DEI conversations where even in you telling your deep truth, you've edited yourself? You kind of calm down. You want to make sure your voice is even. You don't start crying, right? We don't want to seem, over emotional. We want to seem reasonable and fair. Forget that. We are done with that. That's all people want us to do. And then we just take it on ourselves and just further enslave ourselves by editing ourselves, even when nobody asks us to. Always trying to make it seem like, okay, we're reasonable and we're fair, before we take any action. What has that ever gotten us? The Democratic Party may be thanking us in election years and then ghosting us right after, right? And then turning Black to try to pull over these MAGA people. We got to focus on the working class. Yeah, right. Black women are always being expected to build community, but we never get any support for that in return. What else have we gotten? Movements where we do all the work, but the credit and the resources go somewhere else. Yeah, whatever. This time we're not asking, we're deciding, we're not apologizing. And that's one of the reasons our message is so strong, because it's not up for discussion. That's why. Number two, another thing I want y'all to remember when you're out there and people try to get in your face. Remember that prioritizing ourselves is the best thing for everybody. Whatever Black women decide to do, 9 times out of 10, it's what's best for the collective, for everybody. A lot of people, especially those people that have benefited from our labor, are trying to argue that Black women centering ourselves, oh God, is selfish. But here's the thing, when Black women prioritize our well-being, I promise you the world improves. Think about it. When Black women rest, we show the next generation that overwork is not the price of love. When Black women create and we birth new art, new thought, new culture, that helps and it uplifts and it inspires everyone. When Black women build for ourselves, we create spaces that are healthier, safer, and more sustainable. History has shown that Black women are at our most powerful when we move in alignment with our own needs first. Seriously, like the Montgomery boycott, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. We make the biggest impact when we're taking care of ourselves first. And their impact has a ripple effect on everyone else. We're not abandoning anyone, but we are done abandoning ourselves. We're going to have to remember this the way we have to remember it with our significant others and our kids. As Black women in the 92%, you just not going to bother us or move us with guilt tactics. Okay, the Jedi mind tricks not working no more. You can hear it in the way we respond when people try to drag us back into battles that we never signed up for, right? Black Lives Matter Boulevard got renamed. Child, anyways, whatever. Meghan Markle is making a cake. How dare she still want to call herself a duchess? She should have left behind the title. She's not even Black. Black women really? She making a cake? What kind? I like pasta and I should be eating less meat. Let me turn on the show. The doctor says I need to calm down. They keep throwing out bait. We refuse to bite. We are not doing the emotional labor to make others feel included in our movement too. Y'all, everybody can't come along. We're done doing group projects for right now. We've got a big group, just Black women alone, Black women in the 90%. We're plenty big enough group. We're doing our own group project. Okay. We don't need any more people in our study group. We are not accepting the guilt trips from people who only show up when they need something. Have y'all noticed another community showing the F up? Now that they need something, demanding stuff from us? I say that kind of loud. We're not saving, explaining, or rescuing anybody. but ourselves anymore. And that's what's terrifying to people who have relied on us for their survival, for people who have relied on our work to get their movements pushed forward. We have reclaimed our time, our creativity, and our full autonomy. And that's why the 92%, Black women of the 92%, that's why we sound so clear and unified and unmovable out there. I'm so proud of us. And the truth is, we know what we deserve now. We know what's owed to us, and finally, we're taking it. So when somebody asks you why Black women are the 92%, our strategy centers on us, remind them. Well, first of all, we're just not asking permission. We're prioritizing ourselves because it's what's best for everyone, and because skill tactics no longer work on us. Seriously, even say one band, one sound. If they say what you mean, say go watch the movie. Okay, now if you love this podcast, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Rate it, review it, pass it forward, share it with another Black woman in the 92%. This is how we get the message out. It's how we keep the conversation going. And it's how we remind the world that Black women are the 92%, that we are moving different. So please drop those 5 stars, give me a review, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And y'all, that's where we're going to leave it today. Black women of the 92%, we are clear, we are consistent, and we are coalesced. That by itself is something to celebrate. I should let y'all know I'm going out of town. I'm going to take you with me. I'm taking Black women in the 90% with me. Y'all, please follow me at Halicue. Truly, to follow me anywhere, all you have to do is type in Halicue. So whether it's TikTok, YouTube, if you're following the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, right here on Substack, all you have to do is just type in my name, Halicue, Halicue. It's kind of a unique name. So you can find me just about anywhere. And wherever you follow me, wherever you're part of my community online, you're going to come with me. I am going to be out of town for a while, but I'm still going to be podcasting. I'm still going to be posting, and I'm taking Black women in the 92% with me. We're on a riverboat cruise, on one of the Viking riverboat cruises. If y'all like PBS, you'll always see their ads in there. So my mom is taking me on a little trip. Me and my mom, and I think my uncle and my aunt. It's going to be like a little 10-day river cruise. I think we're starting in Amsterdam, and we're going to be going up all the way to, we're going to end up Basel in Switzerland, I think is where we're going to end up. And then I'm flying back home. I'm home for 4 days. And then I'm going to be flying back to the UK, where me and my own little nuclear family, me and my husband and my 2 daughters, we're going to be hanging out in the UK. And then we're heading off to Portugal for a little while, for a little spring break, a little vacation. And I'm bringing everybody with me. So I'm going to be sharing everything. You all follow me everywhere. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast. And seriously, consider becoming a paid subscriber. Right after this, I'm going to be recording a rest and inspiration oracle reading specifically for my paid subscribers, to inspire your rest and just inspire your creativity for the next week, and give you a little touchstone, a little something to come back to, especially when you need to, it's the way we do. As Black women in the 92%, we're dealing with a lot out there. I mean, we are excellent and we are amazing, but we still have to deal with a lot. So I like to do that rest and inspiration reading and message for my paid subscribers, just a little something special to say thank you for supporting the podcast. Also, I'm really great with downloads and divination, so it's just a little extra gift that I have to share. Our clarity, our unified voice, that is our real power as Black women in the 92%. We are not explaining ourselves. We are not saving anybody but ourselves. We're moving forward with joy, strategy, and discipline. Look at us. Until next time, all the love in my heart to Black women of the 92%, and to everyone that supports us. And to everyone else, I want you to have the day that you voted for. I'm Halicue. This is the Hey, It's Halicue podcast, and I'll see y'all next week.